Hello and welcome back to the StarLadder ImbaTV Invitational. We had some issues, but we fixed those, and now we are ready to play some more Dota, because that's why we're here. We've already said goodbye to 2 teams earlier today. Time for 2 more teams to be eliminated. It's going to be a tough one. Here with Nahaz as well as Lacoste, and I think we got a good one on our hands. We got a VGJ.Thunder versus FlyToMoon. We opened the tournament with this series, Nahaz.
Should be, yeah. It is a rematch, and it's a rematch of a series in which FlyToMoon came out and looked really good in the first game, and VGJ.Thunder, under the vociferous leadership of ROTK, really had to pull their act together. The story of the series to me is going to be which VGJ.Thunder team shows up.
I gotta say, after their game against Optic, we were on the same bus, and ROTK was going insane. Like, he was yelling the whole trip, and the trip was half an hour.
It is part of the course for him, it's got to be said.
I recognize some of the words, puck, TA, so
Yeah.
I guess that's the matchup that they pick, so I guess the TA needs to win the lane, and somehow CCNC managed to solo kill a TA and just roll over them.
Yeah, behind her own Tier 1 tower, and that's... I look back at the VGJ.Thunder drafts over the last couple of weeks, and their troubles began. They had been 2-14 in their last 16 games coming into this tournament, going back before DAC. And their troubles really started when teams, basically every team they played, has taken out Lycan and Death Prophet in the first phase, and also, at the very least, if not taking it out outright, making them pick the Yang Omni Knight in the first phase as well.
VGJ.Thunder, we were expecting them to make it out of their group. Well, or at least do better in their group than what they did initially. I'm kind of surprised that they are here. FlyToMoon, I'm not surprised that they're here because they look good. I'm actually very happy to see them perform well. Obviously, this morning we saw them eliminate Kingwin. That was a rough series, though, Lacoste.
Yeah, FlyToMoon is a stack of amazingly skilled players from CIS region. We see more of them rising, and I think the CIS open qualifier for TI is going to be really stacked. FlyToMoon showing some good performance, but also we can see what they lack. I think their drafts are good. In the interview, Iceberg talked about his team, that he's finally happy that he can be the one who's actually picking the heroes and to be in charge, because he was not given the opportunity in his previous team to contribute to the picks and how the game should be played, and he's gonna give his ideas in this team, and so far it's working all right, but it feels like they sometimes overdo it. They were trying to steal the Lycan from Sylar, which didn't go very well. It was like 20-25 minute game, and maybe they overdo it with the Raid King as well. That pick, that the hero is just weak in the laning stage if pressured.
That draft in particular felt like they outsmarted themselves. Almost tried to get a little too fancy.
Yeah, I think for FlyToMoon, it is interesting, as you mentioned. He basically, Iceberg created the team from, he mentioned it, despair. He created the team out of despair for not being invited to anything else. It's like, I'm going to make my own team and make it be successful. And his goal, he was, in the interview, in case you missed it, he was very realistic about his goal. His goal is not, I'm going to win TI this year. His goal is to be the 2nd best team in CIS. And sure, down the line, once he reached that goal, he's got more goals, but he's taking it one step at a time. And to be able to do that, to be able to be the 2nd best team in CIS, they have to beat VGJ.Thunder, because the winner of this will go up against Vega, who is also making a strong case for the same thing.
Yeah. I love his attitude. One step at a time. He's not taking more than he can chew. So, like, Virtus Pro is way above everyone else, so they should just take it slowly.
Possibly even in Dota, not just in CIS.
Yes. For VGJ.Thunder, I think they are kind of, they felt like they were a little bit on the decline. They are top 8 though, don't worry, they are still top 8, but it's very close. They are having LGD right above them, they're having EG right below them. If they manage to win the tournament, they will beat LGD and will become 7th in DPC point system. But so far, they haven't really looked like a top 8 team.
Well, it's funny, right? We go through, in some ways, we go through this cycle every year where the Chinese teams, the Chinese Dota season doesn't really begin until the Chinese New Year break in February. And then in March, we get a couple Chinese teams that come together, really burst onto the international scene, but they're doing one thing, they maybe get figured out, and they slump a little bit, and they're usually backed by TI. But this is, again, this is a VGJ.Thunder team that does have some veteran presences, but they do. Yang has had some consistency problems in his career. Fade is a younger player. The ROTC coaching situation, ROTC very, very good. I mean, TI finalists, but a little on the volatile side. You know, is this team going to be able to hold up under the pressure, some of it self-imposed?
Yeah, you need to play consistently throughout this whole season because of the DPC system. Before, you could afford to not play good at a certain time.
At the small tournaments,
yes.
you could afford to let your
every point matters right now.
You could afford, and that was one of the criticisms, right? Is that you could afford to really not play until April.
That was the problem.
That's what I really like. You know, you look at the next 2 months now, we get to talk about who needs to win what games and how many points each team needs, as opposed to conjecturing what some people in a boardroom are going to decide on. And that, to me, is a lot more satisfying discussion.
Yeah, I know you love this period. This is the best period for you, definitely.
I've been an NCAA college basketball fan for a long time. It's like March Madness, man. We're talking about who's going to qualify for the big tournament.
All right, so for this specific matchup then.
Yes, let's do it.
Who do you feel has the upper hand? Because you got an upcoming team, you got a team that's kind of stagnating.
Again, it's completely about which VGJ.Thunder team shows up. I still believe in this team. I think they are a little weaker than their sister team, VG Gaming, the main squad. But I think that they have the talent. Talent-wise, on paper, I think they're as good or maybe even a little better than any team here. But again, they came up running that side lane Death Prophet, exploiting the Siler Lycan, leaning heavily on that Yang Omni Knight. They got to find some consistent solutions in the draft other than those three.
But you still would put VGJ.Thunder ahead.
I think if they show up and they play anything close to the Dota they were playing a month ago, they win. But
who is going to be the main focus on you? Like, you're going to watch the next series and you're going to think, well, if that person can lead the way.
Not necessarily leading the way, but Freeze is the guy that I always worry about, because he's a guy, again, similar to Ori with VG Gaming, but a little bit more so. He's the kind of guy that if he gets behind in the first 3 or 4 creep waves, like, he is a guy that will stand at the top of his ramp. He will press a little bit in lane and leave himself very vulnerable as the mid, and they don't tend to respond well when he gets ganked.
On the other side, you got yourself Iceberg, who is the drafter for his team, and he'll set himself up for success, which I guess works even better that way against VGJ.Thunder.
Yeah, Iceberg is a highly individually and mechanically skilled player that I know from a pub. Easy to tilt, though. That could be the problem for him. Maybe it's a different thing.
He was very open about that too.
Yes, some of the players could be easy to tilt in the public games, but when it comes to their team, it could be a totally different story. Like, especially if they're in the draft seat and they are doing all the shots calling.
Well, we are in the draft. Any heroes that we're looking forward to seeing? We already mentioned the Siler Lycan to be probably eliminated, I would imagine.
Well, that's step 1 of 3. You take out the Yang Omni Knight. I think that the Lycan is a hero that's fallen off a little bit, but yeah, the big 2 that I expect to see taken out are the Omni and the DP, and then it's just remains to be seen whether they will leave the Lycan in the pool.
Tusk will be highly contested. Both of these teams love the first picket.
But again, that's the surprising thing to me, is that in their woes of the last couple weeks, teams have been giving Fade his Tusk, which looked like one of the better heroes a month or so ago when the team was on fire. But they've been giving Fade the Tusk in the first phase. FlyToMoon will take it out, though.
Yeah, and this is the band that I didn't mention but wanted to talk about, the Treant Protector. This is going to be TI8 winning hero.
You think so?
Yeah,
There's still a lot of patches, though.
I still feel that the hero is just way too good not to have it. Like, you can play him as 4 and 5. We saw Zayak yesterday on Treant Protector. That guy is just so good. But what he does with the hero, it allows you to play aggressive. And if they want to get the ganks going, they need to bring one more hero to actually kill a hero, especially at the early stages. And you can easily have an aggressive dual lane, which Treant Protector actually shines on.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, number one, when you talk about the prevalence of these just bully, run-at-you aggro dual lanes in the meta that have been around now for the last couple of months. And the planting trees trick, the exploiting of nature's guys, that's really nifty. That's what, you know, I didn't necessarily appreciate the significance of that until I saw it in a couple games here.
I can see the face of ROTK.
Yup.
Never smiling.
Always in thought.
Oh, man.
Thinking about the next move, 7 steps ahead.
There is
Tries.
Fade's Kunkka, and we mentioned this the other night. They played this in their opening round. I believe in this particular series, they played it in the deciding game. And I think Fade's stats are not necessarily as good on Kunkka as somebody like Roger, but I think he is really, really good.
I think they should get the hero like a puck right now. It's so easy to dodge all the spells from both Kunkka and the Witch Doctor. And you can also, as you mentioned, disrupt the combo from Kunkka. Tiny still vulnerable to Witch Doctor's Maledict, and it's pretty much a comfort pick for VGJ.Thunder. He still has that status resistance. I wonder if Tiny actually has -1 armor. I saw some Reddit threads about it, didn't see Tiny being picked up.
All right. I think the Rubik it's a stable pick for them. Already a lot to steal on the enemy side.
I think the most picked hero this tournament so far as well. Everybody loves it. Comfort pick as
yeah, you want to have some magic burst damage. That's the Tiny right there when you have your aura turned on offensively.
That's interesting. It doesn't feel like the Rubik is quite as weak in lane as the book on Rubik for a very long time was that he was vulnerable to getting run at and to getting really bullied in lane. It's not felt like that recently.
No, I mean he's also decent in tri lanes, not the best, but if you just hit the bolt on 2 heroes, that mitigates a lot of physical damage.
No, and you pair him with somebody like an AA. He has range. He's got a great animation.
Yeah. Terrorblade is still in the pool. That's Silent ultimate carry. We didn't talk about Silent. I didn't really like when Silent played the support back in the Empire. Like he has the carry mentality.
He has bounced back and forth throughout his career.
Yes, and he is the fighting carry. He is the carry that is not afraid to leave his lane and leave some free farm for fighting instead.
Yeah, that's.
I believe
that's a gyro right there. That's the gyro profile that can fight early on.
107 and 62 on his gyrocopter. The next closest pro player, I believe, is Sylar himself.
Are you getting those numbers out of your head, Nahaz?
Yeah. Yes, I am. I'm fairly sure they're accurate, but yeah. Yes, there's something wrong with me. I'm aware.
And Lifestealer is also one of his more played heroes, I guess, but they banned it out themselves with the OD and the Razor removed by VGJ.Thunder.
Juggernaut, another one that I've historically liked him on, but Jug's been pretty out of favor recently with most of the pro teams.
Which is a shame. Also fighting. And the Underlord, of course, flavor of the month.
And again, you know, who can blame people? As good as the hero looked at DAC, as convincing as it's looked in terms of just its ability to control tempo across the map.
It feels like that heroes that can go early Roche are really valuable at this point.
When in the series, FlyToMoon versus Kingwin, it was Roshan that allowed Kingwin every time again to have a good shot at taking out FlyToMoon. So I would imagine that if you look at that series, you can take away for FlyToMoon that they should focus a little bit more on that.
It's interesting. For a long time, like the pre-20-minute Roche was completely out of the game because when the Dominator meta first developed, like that creep was almost always in the Roche pit, and teams were like, forget it. And it's kind of crept back in as teams have learned how to deal with it.
They're taking a lot of time. OD being banned out means that they want to go for probably something tankier. They need some tower damage. Dragonite is still in the pool. I mean, Dragonite is a flex safe pick that can go to all 3 lanes and provides you that reliable stun, tower damage, good scaling hero.
They're taking their time here for VGJ.Thunder.
Yeah, this is traditionally where they would pick up their offlaner, their Yang hero, and that's exactly the slot where they've struggled the most. Okay, I think you're good call, Lacoste, and I absolutely agree with that pickup. Although it should be said that this is where Yang is not as comfortable as some of the other offlaners that we've seen taking these traditional mid or safe lane heroes into the offlane.
I don't know why. I feel like a Baton could be a good pickup here for FlyToMoon. I saw some of their picks. I'm not sure if they picked it, but a lot of sustain to get rid of the couple of spells from VGJ.Thunder's heroes as well.
Well, you know, it's.
But maybe it's too early to pick up a Baron. That there are a couple of counters to him, and I don't like him being picked in that early on. They could still get a Viper with magic resistance. Oh well, this is a good pickup actually. Like both of the supports don't have any escape mechanism, Kunkka and Witch Doctor, so that's pretty good kill potential for the Clockwork. And if it's gonna be a Dragonite mid, FlyToMoon loves to run Shadow Fiend. Yes.
Yep. This is the combo that they ran in the second game this morning, where you know they started mid with 13 souls and Iceberg just crushed that, or 12 souls and Iceberg just crushed that lane.
This is the problem. Like you want to have a hero that naturally builds into 4-staff early on. None of these three actually does. Kunkka can build one, yes, but
he doesn't really want to.
Yes, like you can get Urn into 4-staff.
This is already the bonus time from VGJ.Thunder.
Yeah, already down to
Well, down for 15 seconds. That's unconventional. We have a Gyrocopter though. That's not that unconventional at all.
Yeah, I really like this particular core combo because both obviously are going to be ready to fight come the mid game. You know that in all games, and both of them can play on all 3 lanes. Yeah, Gyro obviously much more commonly run as a mid or safe laner, but yeah, I've seen farming Gyro aggro dual lanes as well. So I think it's very, very hard for FlyToMoon to read the lanes.
They got some flexibility of their own, though. I think what we've seen so far is that FlyToMoon is focusing a lot on their own game and how they want to lane. So let's see if they can set themselves up for success that way.
I would be mildly surprised if this is not the SF.
Yeah, that is.
So it's probably not going to be a Dragonite on mid because Shadow Fiend. I mean, Dragonite's one of the heroes that does well no matter the matchup, but against the Shadow Fiend it could be a bit harder, especially since you have a Clockwork and he's gonna have a lot of souls at the start with just Rubik rotating. It could be an easy kill setup.
Now, as you said earlier that you want Freeze, like you're looking out for him to see if he does well. He's gonna be up against the Shadow Fiend. What, like, do you feel like a Dragonite is good for him in that case, or do you want him to see play something else? He's not going to get that much help, I think, apart from maybe Kunkka coming back.
Yeah, I mean, this is not one of those games where he's going to get dual lane to his benefit. He's more than likely gonna have to make do with a couple of rotations and just kind of tread water against the SF. Something like a Viper here would make sense. They kind of probably wish they didn't ban Razor themselves.
Yeah, we got a Night Stalker ban out from VGJ.Thunder. We're looking for a non-Grata hero. Assuming that Silence is going to play the Tiny, we don't really know for sure, of course. Non-Grata might even play the Clock.
Yeah, this could be an offlane Clock, but I prefer to have a Clockwork on position 4 hero.
Likewise.
Yes.
For no fair.
The hero does the same thing. Yes, you're going to have one more item and come online early on, but then you need to keep the pressure, and once you hit the level 6, it's really easy for enemy to read your movement. If you're missing from the lane, you're probably gonna gank, and then they can easily rotate and counter gank. So
Batrider ban.
Batrider ban. That could be a possible troll pickup. Every time I see a Batrider ban, I see a Troll Warlord synergize as well with Tiny and Shadow Fiend, some right-click damage. And this is the hero that likes to get on top of a Gyro, something that gets on top of the Gyro, because Gyro doesn't like when he's being chased, even though he's pretty much hasted. Also, it builds into a Silver Edge, and then they can break Dragonite. They have a lot of initiation tools already with the Clockwork, with the Tiny.
They go for the Elder Titan, and that is an offlane Clockwork then.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the Clockwork Elder Titan combo is very, very scary as an aggro duel, and that leaves the Tiny in the safe lane.
So that's more magical resistant reduction. Rubik Elder Titan with the Tiny plus plus raises, that could be pretty deadly, and Barrier Assault is gonna deal a ton of damage as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're used to DK feeling super, super tanky because of that passive bonus armor, but not necessarily so against all that magic damage output.
I think they could use a blink initiating hero.
Oh, have to have.
Or
well, all right. I think that's more about having a comfort pick for. Oh no!
Freeze gyro.
What? They're gonna put. Okay.
They're gonna swap.
I'm sort of convinced that they're gonna swap this and have Freeze in the mid lane on his Lina, but I'd be pretty surprised if they stuck with these lanes.
I mentioned the blink initiating hero. Dragon Knight is the one Yang is gonna play it, so I suppose they want a 1 versus 1 matchup. That's where Yang actually shines, so they might go aggressive with the Witch Doctor, Kunkka, and Gyro, which is pretty strong in my opinion.
Strong enough?
I think it's strong enough. VGJ.Thunder, I'd prefer to play in this team right now with that lineup, yes.
1 for VGJ.Thunder.
I am not convinced by the VGJ.Thunder draft. I do think, though, that they're the better team. I think if they show up and play as they're capable of playing, they win, so I'm going to pick them.
All right, I'm going to go for Iceberg. And the rest of the boys there for FlyToMoon. Let's find out who's going to get eliminated. 3 games, potentially. Let's head over to ODPixel and Gods for the first one.
Thank you very much, Shiva. Yes, I'm ODPixel. I'm here with Gods, and we're ready to bring you FlyToMoon versus VGJ.Thunder. We've just seen the last few picks. At the moment, we're not seeing the swapping around. It is Sylar sticking on the Lina. We'll see if they do switch him and Freeze with the Lina and the Gyrocopter, but quite a finisher. I mean, regardless of who plays it, we're going to see some classic Lina versus SF in the mid lane.
Yeah, I think the Lina pick makes sense in the context of the matchup and the way this game can be played, but definitely a bit weird, bizarre, maybe seeing Sylar playing that mid lane.
Yeah.
The flashy heroes. He plays the Death Prophet often in the mid lane, but seeing him on the Lina.
Yeah, he's still sticking with it at the moment. We'll see if he does swap around.
He's level 3 on his Dota Plus, so he's definitely capable.
He's looking to get
a Lina player.
I imagine in lobby games, do you still get the shards? And I probably don't.
I don't think so. Yeah,
no, you can't do the missions here, Sylar, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no quests in pro games.
No quests, no.
Teams will be start dragging out their games to do their quests and all that. That'd be great seeing teams like asking, can you come out, give me a triple kill, I need another triple kill.
Oh dear. Well, let's see what happens. We do have a brief pause here, but the pause is over, and are we seeing them stick to it, Sylar and Freeze?
Oh, Sylar, yeah, he's sticking to the Lina.
He's sticking to it, so it is the we're going to see Sylar Lina.
Got Clock SF doing cogs tricks, back in the fountain, good stuff there, as you'd expect. Perhaps taking a bit of a page from Navi's book. They would pick SF in 2 of their 3 games that open the day, and they saw Navi pick SF with a clock, and Iceberg's like, that's what I want. I want some souls, I want a good level 1 start.
I mean, yeah, that game earlier, if you did miss it, was pretty damn good for the SF clock combo that Navi did run.
Oh, both teams put observer wards on the mid-high ground. We'll see that maybe in a second here. I wonder if one of them should have been spotted, because whoever put the ward down first will see the other side of the river where the ward was planted. Silent playing Tiny. This is the first time today he's played it, even though it's like the first time this tournament, even though it's been picked, I think, 4 or 5 times for FlyToMoon. It's been played in Undershock's hands. Oh, sorry, I know it's been played in Iceberg's hands a couple times. I'm thinking of a different team. And also been played in the offlane for non-grata.
He's going to have quite a bit of pressure on him at the start, as it looks to be this, indeed, this aggressive tri-lane that Panel wondered about, for the time being at least, with 3 heroes up it.
Oh, they're flubbing it. They've missed 2 souls on the SF. Rubik's 2 denies. Those are meant to be the SFs. Got to get your clocks right. Start at 12 o'clock and go clockwise is normally the go-to. Not the end of the world, but
yeah, we'll see how it does with the 10.
Yeah.
Maybe
Navi had practiced
we might see him miss a CS.
Dandy got the 12. He got all 12 of them, but FlyToMoon not showing their cogs killing prowess. So looks like we'll see 2 runes apiece. VGJ have the top. FlyToMoon have the bottom. Gyrocopter could... he's not going to contest it with the Rubik nearby if he sees him. We'll see a lot of pressure down bottom if No Fear does do this dual lane. The Clockwork plus Elder Titan can definitely do some good bullying.
Looks like we do have some slight lag issues here, unfortunately.
Mouse lag.
Mouse lag?
Never heard of that one before.
Update your drivers, boy.
Yep.
Whoops, indeed, so...
What fun stuff we got here in the drafts. Gyros, DKs, but the Lina, I'm enjoying
the Lina that we're looking
Linas,
towards. We're seeing what's going to happen from this Lina. We've seen, as you say, a few Lena games here actually at this LAN, where we have got the stage where it's got later on. We've seen some very heavy right-click Lena builds come into play. I mean, one of the guys who was to do it is the man on your screen, Iceberg. On the earlier days of this tournament, did bring forward his Lena play and looked very impressive. So he knows how to do it. We'll see if he knows how to deal with it.
Yep.
As he'll be playing against Sylar on it this time.
And FlyToMoon, third game today of the Iceberg Shadow Fiend, the player to always look out for with this team. He does
really
the spellcaster build, at least in those two games. Yules, Blink, BKB, Hexes. Got an Octarine core in that final game
that's
even.
Right, of course. And that was a series where in both those games he didn't have a clockwork.
Yep.
And as you say, he did win one of them. And even in the game that he did lose, he still did very well in the lane. And managed to get to that point where he was level 25, had the Blink, Yules, Hex ready to go for the place. So
The SF feels a bit like a double-edged sword right now where, yes, confidence pick, he just won 2 games with it, and he only won 1 of the 2.
He did lose.
He won the game
first
decider, and he obviously did very well in that game, was kind of the standout player. But at the same time, VGJ kind of know this is coming. I think they look at that series and they're like, the Yules Spellcaster SF is kind of that pub build, which I feel like doesn't always translate as well into the pro games. It may have worked in their opening series against a Kingwin team, but that's a Kingwin team that looked very lost. So I think VGJ looked at that and they're like, let's give them this SF. They must feel very confident they can beat it because they did not target it all with the ban, despite it being picked twice.
Yeah, we'll see if he goes the same build. I would imagine he does, as we said, we've seen it twice, and he went for the exact same build both games. Iceberg.
Yep.
Top lane. Tornado from Fade. And taking quite a bit of damage then. They have got the telekinesis as Silent, and always want to fly. Well, given the right clicks.
Yep, maximizing his damage there with the tree grab, but no kill available on the Dragon Knight, who will pull this behind his tower. Definitely feels like a common theme on both sides. 4 positions going there to secure the off lane. One side they're doing the wave pull, the other Clock Elder Titan, much stronger duo, can just straight up try and bully the Gyrocopter using that Astral Spirit. You hit it on 2 heroes, you get a lot of bonus damage. There's that plus 39 right there, and Clockwork can perhaps even try and set up a kill once he has Battery Assault with the cogs.
Yeah, that sort of level 2 is going to be the scary point for VGJ.Thunder if FlyToMoon do manage to grab that Witch Doctor.
Yep.
Time being, we'll see there's a bit of harassment being put down onto Nongrata there with the cask. No fear Nongrata getting a little bit low.
Definitely what I feel FlyToMoon wanted was the pure 1v1 mid. You have an SF with max souls more or less at the start. If he gets a pure 1v1, that's great news. The big danger with the Clock SF is often you'll see these teams go for this like level 1, level 2 support gank, but because of the 2-1-2 setup, supports aren't paired together. They can't go for that like 2-man smoke onto mid from the start.
And so far, as we're seeing, no surprise, Iceberg with the lead.
Yep.
Sylar will still be able to get a decent amount out of this lane, you would imagine, with the spam of the Dragon Slave.
Yeah, and there's always gank potential. If we see Kunkka find a 2-minute rune, or even Witch Doctor, runes are going to be a big part of this early game. Haste rune, an Invis rune, something like that on Fade. Once he's level 2, he can then do like an X-Torrent into an LSA, Dragon Slave, easy kills on SF. So I think Iceberg does have to kind of keep tabs of where Fade is on the map, or FlyToMoon do. They need to keep on letting people know what's going on with the Kunkka movement.
Well, there's a few movements coming towards that mid lane from both sides.
Level 2 raises. There's definitely some damage output potential if No Fear can hit a stomp. It looks like Fade should scout this one out fairly soon.
Yeah, I don't know what's up now as they do lead in. Can they find the stomp? Can, but Iceberg not really in position to follow up, and especially with realizing the Kunkka's there as well. Now I'm going to try and make a play on it. Top lane though, Silent. Just want to fly. Looking towards Yang.
He's tanky Stout Shield, 2 points in Dragon Blood, that's 10 armor, Magic Wand for some health regen as well. I don't think you kill this Dragon Knight at this stage unless you can toss him under the tower. Rubik very bad at zoning, and that's something which is going to cause FTM problems up top if they want to try and kill this DK. I think if anything, Rubik's better off rotating. Go tri-lane bottom and try and pressure the Gyrocopter a bit more, because dual laning top is not going to lead to kills unless Yang misplays.
Yeah, looking at the pressure on the Jar at the moment, it's slowing him down a little bit, but he's still doing fine overall. Freeze 15 for 3. No one really getting too far behind in terms of the cores. Just Overall, the clock slightly behind that at the offline TK from VGJ.Thunder. One lane, Nongrata talking about the clock. Close the gap in onto Freeze with the battery assault. The Stomp is bringing him low, but Freeze is going to get the chance to get out of the range of it. Pop the salve. He's going to be fine, and with the rotation with DDC, they turn things around. They get the first blood, bringing down Nongrata. Fade tries for the torrent. Does actually manage to find the connection onto No Fear. No Fear will be fine, but still, nice play there from Thunder, keeping their Gyro alive and turning the kill around.
That's the DDC Witch Doctor classic. This guy, a veteran 5-position player, showing his prowess there with some great positioning, and will help turn that around. And Gyrocopter living on a sliver of HP and then salving up means he doesn't even have to go back to base or anything. Really good position for him to be in. Mid lane Lena's doing just fine against the SF. Despite all the early souls, they have almost identical last hits, very different denies, as Iceberg has about 5 denies, 10 of those being the cogs.
On Iceberg, just heading
nicely
in.
Done.
Very, very nicely done indeed.
Yeah.
Knows his limits. They add the double damage, the extra bit of right click with the catch from No Fear. Sets up the kill. Fade and DDC, will they be there with the response play? Look at the X mark into Torrent, Maledict down onto No Fear. They'll try for the stomp, but the paralyzing cask is there to cancel it, so they've got that extra time to punch into him. They'll look for a deny, but can't quite make his way towards the Ancients. Top lane, looks like Yang did get caught underneath the tower there by a toss play. He's pretty low at the moment. He's got the one charge. Is silent again with the toss, trying to burst Yang down. Do they have quite enough to finish off this kill? That's the question he'll have. Avalanche back in a second. He's got the one charges, and that'll do it. Yeah. Holds down Yang.
That's how you do it. You toss under the tower. If you can get that play, then there is kill potential on Dragon. Otherwise, he's just too damn tanky, and nice job to get that kill. Particularly getting him before level 5. If he gets like a 3rd point in Dragon Blood, he gets incredibly tanky. Although, may even see him just get that point in the stun, since he wants to have the range stun when he hits level 6 here. Good moves from FlyToMoon, getting the kill in the mid lane for the SF. It felt like Luna was in a very good spot there, had the vision advantage, had de-warded the high ground ward while maintaining vision himself, which is where Sylar felt safe.
One lane. They've got the setup again, the cast from DDC, buying the time for the torrent to follow in from Fade. They catch out Nongrata. And this mid lane as well, despite Sylar going down, he's holding his own in the lane pretty well. Sure, he's not winning the lane, but he's still finding decent farm against the SF, which I guess is expected to an extent with the Lina.
Yeah, just being able to throw your nuke to last hit. Before that death, it was pretty much even. Following it, SF pulls a little bit ahead, and we'll see how things play out from here. There's a lot of kill potential going both ways. Big thing here being the level difference. Lina's just hit level 6, SF level 7.5, thanks to the kill as well as a decent number of denies.
And then looking to punish Sylar again, always want to fly, able to walk in, get the telekinesis, dragging him in the perfect set of range for the follow raises.
Yep.
Another pick-off in the middle lane as Sylar is sent to the sidelines.
Yeah, you go for all these early game items as a Lina. We're seeing this Ring of Aquila mid build on all these heroes. Lina now, I think it's the first time I've seen on a Lina, but it makes sense, you know, it's just such a good mid item. A lot of early stats, but you don't want to be dying. You're getting this item to stay alive in your lane, to have early kill potential for the mana regen, the stats. And if you're dying while going for this build, it means your other items are coming incredibly slow. There's still no boots on Lina, there's no progression towards a Yule Scepter or a Bloodstone, Shadowblade, whatever build you want to go. That's concerning for Sylar with his game right now.
And up top, they're looking to go onto Yang. They're bringing extra TPs. Telekinesis first to play around with him. No fear and silence there, ready as well. Have they got enough burst to kill him off? They've got Iceberg coming in. Should be enough with 4 heroes here as they stomp him, raise him down. FlyToMoon getting some big kills here with these rotations, even getting Iceberg involved.
Sylar thinks he's safe because, you know, oh, I just saw SF top, right? Sylar, can he go for this kill?
He's trying with the Laguna Blade, but he's not going to find Iceberg, and in fact, Sylar, he's going to lose his own life. Yep. Tried to commit there with the ultimate. He does not get away with it, and as well indeed in the river, they've found DDC. A killing spree for Iceberg as FlyToMoon have a very successful moment of gameplay there, heading up to the top lane and then back down to the middle and picking up more kills on the way.
Yeah, just kind of running a train through Thunder right now, just getting kill after kill. SF is 3-0-2. Feels like VGJ.Thunder not really getting too much other than a couple support kills on their Witch Doctor with the Maledict, and it's going to be very concerning here. Clockwork's now hit level 6. This Lina, who's already having a tough game, is about to have an even worse time if they want to go for that kill. Also, Gyrocopter a big kill, so we'll see where Clockwork wants to go. Freeze perhaps considering a cooldown.
He is, but look who's here. Nongrata straight in with the hook shot. He's taking the brunt of this damage. Cooldown will be there, but Nongrata commits with the Rocket Flare and the Battery Assault. He'll get the pick off, killing VGJ.Thunder's carry.
Yeah,
and not losing anything themselves.
Already won the mid lane, Lena's died several times. Let's go win another lane. The Gyrocopter, he's farming a bit too well. Okay, we'll use the hook on him. And at this point, Non-Grata is going to be looking to rotate every time hook shots up, at least for the foreseeable future, which is a big concern for VGJ.Thunder, who do not have good answers. They don't have a Space Courier. Running this DK in the offlane is not a hero who can just kind of say, oh, come and help fight the clockwork rotations. This DK wants to kind of keep on farming right now. Freeze, though, is going to be the 1-tiered active. I like this better than DK. Level 7 Gyrocopter has max Rocket Barrage. Cooldown's on cooldown for a little bit longer, but should be up by the time they make contact with FlyToMoon. This is the hero who can cause problems.
FlyToMoon not really letting themselves be caught out. There's no one by this tier 1 tower.
Yep, good play to evacuate that top lane. They see Witch Doctor farming alone bottom. At this point, with Gyrocopter having respawned for a while, it's very obvious that the gank is coming. Bottom lane, there's a bit of a dive from Non-Grata.
Oh, Fade and Freeze's smoke is going to wear out. And look who's on the high ground. There's the toss forward, trying to get always one flying position to kick things off. They have the telekinesis onto one. Avalanche comes down to the two of them. Now starting to back off though. FlyToMoon, they're in a bit of trouble here. Freeze coming in with the cooldown, trying to focus Iceberg with the Rocket Barrage, but it doesn't look like it's enough damage if they've lost Freeze. Yang's trying to do his best to hide in the tree line, but he's not getting out of this. And again, FlyToMoon kill off both cores, and VGJ.Thunder can't even put a dent into the lineup of FlyToMoon.
That was so costly. They get the X initiation, they set the cooldown, and they can't even kill the tiny. FlyToMoon just know exactly what's going on. They've got really good vision and just a really good read of this game right now. The second the Gyrocopter doesn't show up to the bottom lane after respawning, the call is made. Non-Grata's like, well, I'm going to go in on this Witch Doctor. I believe Gyrocopter's TP top. Be ready for like a 3-4-man rotation up top. And FlyToMoon, they were ready.
Yeah, I've got the connection onto No Fear with the cast, the Torrent, the Maledict. No Fear tries for the stomp, but the quick X mark cancelling the cast of it. But the stick charges continue to back off, and
should live here.
I think he does. He will be able to get away from that attempt from VGJ.Thunder. So again, these players that VGJ.Thunder are struggling to actually benefit off. They just can't seem to kill any of the members of FlyToMoon.
Problems just continue to mount up for VGJ, who first smoke and move up top doesn't succeed for them. They really need to get something like Kunkka, level 6 here, I feel. Tome is coming out on the courier. I'm not even sure if that's good. Might be just enough. Just under. So one more creep, and there we go. He's hit level 6, 3 points in X. That's 800 range initiation to set up the ghost ship into a torrent. Next move has to work for VGJ, because they are not farming well in their cores. They don't have like the Terrorblade farming where you kind of discuss a bit over here, like, oh, is this going to be a Terrorblade pick, or are they going to get the Gyro, the Terrorblade, kind of the securing your late game? Or if you go for this Gyro, you need to make something out of these early rotations, and Freeze so far has been very ineffective since the laning stage.
You can see that in the net worth as well, as he's pretty much on par with the off-lane clock of FlyToMoon.
Yep. Clock's got his Urn of Shadows here, so getting it on the 3 position, but that's a very heavy ganking one. He'll be ready to take a fight. VGJ trying to bait down bottom with Gyro, I think, feeling like when they went on the aggressive didn't work too well, so they're like, well, let's try and predict and counterplay what FlyToMoon are going to do. But FlyToMoon happy to farm. Silence not really looking to initiate a fight, considering he doesn't have his Shadow Blade just yet.
He's preparing for a VGJ.Thunder head over behind this tower.
Yeah, it seems like they just, again, read VGJ's rotations perfectly. They know they're going to sit behind this Gyro. They may smoke up to get a ward down on a cliff, and wow, what an illusion bait.
They Lagooned that, they boated that, they everything that. And now the turnaround play comes in. FlyToMoon, Non-Grata straight in the midst of it, goes in with a hook shot. Is getting focused though, this Clockwork. He gets the cogs out. Is he actually going to be able to walk himself away? He is. Non-Grata keeps himself alive. They've lost DDC, they've lost Jag. And they may even lose more here. The Yules into the Requiem Iceberg from the side. Just enough damage to bring down another. Freeze will be able to TP himself away.
Oh, Non-Grata, he lived a long time. He'll live a bit longer.
He's going to get out again. I mean, they just can't get a kill, VGJ.Thunder. It's literally been the last 8 minutes where they can't find a single pick on FlyToMoon's lineup. And FlyToMoon, as you say, they have tightened up their play ever so impressively, and they are just outplaying and outreading the maneuvers of VGJ.Thunder every time in this early game.
Yeah, it's such a big part of Dota is predicting what your opponents are going to be doing, which is why we talk about vision and wards so much, because then you don't have to predict, you actually can see what they're doing, or at least have an idea based on where your wards are. FlyToMoon have had very good vision all across the map, but have just predicted the smokes.
Straight away towards mid, yeah. Iceberg, you'll set up a quick burst from Silent to pick off the Witch Doctor and Silent. He's just walked into this. He walked forward trying to help out, but not quite as there. He's got the hook shot back up. He's going to look for another. He's trying to chase down Yang. Yang.
Oh, no Yules.
Is indeed pretty tanky, but they've got the toss forward into the stolen light strike. FlyToMoon are absolutely crushing VGJ.Thunder here in these first 14 minutes.
They are just steamrolling through them. They're feeling good. I mean, Rubik doesn't go for the lift, he goes for the LSA. He gets tossed and he's like, I could telekinesis and get this kill. No, I'm going to go for the skill shot. Let's LSA him. It does damage. It does more than my telekinesis, and they're rewarded with a tier 1 tower. There is a bit of a trade at top as VGJ.Thunder get a tower, but kill after kill.
I mean, let's just look at the net worth of Iceberg at this stage. He's so far ahead.
It has been like 6 or 7 straight kills unanswered. A long time since the gyrocopter killed the clock, which feels like it was a good 8-9 minutes ago. Silent's going to have his Shadow Blade now. No longer has to sit just on that amulet. And things look very bad. Silent's going to get this Yule Scepter, but that's an item that feels great when you're ahead, chasing people down. Defensively, it's not amazing. You can't really... Self-Yules is not always a good defensive play when there's so many spells on the dire side that can be set up by it. You're going to let Cogs trap you, the ET Stomp, SF Razors, Avalanches. You can't use this as a defensive tool in a game like this, and that is a big concern for VGJ. He goes Silent with the Shadow Blade at bottom.
See what he can catch
by
out.
a sentry. Oh, they got the Yules though.
They
Yules
do.
combo.
They've got the setup here onto Yang, and again, the DK in trouble. Will be DDC trying for a return play. Doesn't the cast into the corner? This could get them some big kills, and it will. They'll find Iceberg. Can they get Silent as well? They're trying. Silent backing off. He does have a homing missile heading his way. Always want to fly, trying to slow them down, draw them away from the Tiny. So they do get 2 kills this time, VGJ.Thunder, and they get the big one. They are able to take down Iceberg. Who ended up getting the money for that? Do we see? Because that must have been worth quite a bit.
Freeze on the gyrocopter. Getting 723, ending the monster kill streak.
Grada. He's just walked into 4th, and he's trying to find some kills out of this. There will be a Laguna Blade and a torrent. Getting maybe a little bit too greedy there. Oh, DDC, run from that spirit, sir. He should be fine.
Well, the FlyToMoon decision-making there. It was such good play for about 10 minutes straight, and then one DDC Witch Doctor cask sets them back. Of course, it is the veteran 5-position player helping get his team back in the game with a great cask Maledict into Death Ward onto the tiny SF. Almost got both those 2 big carries. Just the SF is definitely enough there, and that's something FlyToMoon have to be very careful of. This Blink Yules build is very volatile. You can blow a hero up as the DK, as happened to the DK, but you then are in a vulnerable position because you've used all of your items. You've used your Requiem as well, you don't have your escape.
Oh, talking about the DK, they've found Yang. Silent with the toss back into the Cogs. They've got the setup for the Razors to come in.
And that's another kill. Back where they left off. That's a bit more what they need to be doing.
Down bottom. See Yang, always want to fly, go down. Just fade and freeze. Do you manage to find the catch?
CS with the homing missile.
Extra money for freeze that he desperately needs as he does climb his way back up the network, but still quite a difference between him and Iceberg.
Man, Iceberg is just massive. He is so far ahead of everyone. Lena's kind of caught up a little bit after that rough start, but it feels like he's always going to be chasing to catch up to Iceberg, who is going to be well on his way to a BKB by the time Lena has any kind of follow-up item to this Yule Scepter.
See up top, VGJ.Thunder do come forward. Stop this push onto the tier 2 and FlyToMoon respect that, they back away.
If they could initiate with the Dragon Knight, you've got to blink queued up, that would be one way to start a fight on someone like Iceberg, but that's still a long ways off, and other than a blink on him, they haven't really got a good initiation. The Lena Yules is not a hero you want to have running in first. She's going to get hooked by a Clockwork and blown up. Kunkka's X is your best bet. It's 1,000 range, it's pretty good, but it's not a reliable way to start a fight. It's nothing like a Blink Dagger. They're going to blow up another, okay, another illusion. Oh my gosh, Silo just Laguna Blade, another Clockwork illusion.
Well we heard it in the distance, but we didn't see it.
Don't worry.
So it didn't happen.
No shame, Silo.
Don't worry. Don't worry, Silo, we got you covered.
Those clock illusions are pretty damn tanky. I think it's misleading. He's got 1500 health, and you throw a Light Strike Ray, a Dragon Slave, and you're like, okay, this might be real. Let's Laguna it. Oh, no, it's
not. We haven't seen him play Lina much, so maybe he's just practicing the Laguna blades, you know.
That's true.
These are just sort of like the dummy targets.
The perfect combo with the 3 spells on it.
No, he's got it. You know, he's ready for the real deal now. He's done it a couple of times on the illusions.
The clock has a blade mail, so I don't know if you want to do it. You combo it, you're going to be killing yourself.
Well, there you go. That's it. Illusions can't use blade mail. That's the logic here.
I'll combo the illusion so I don't die in real life.
In real life? Jesus.
Blade mail. Blade mail. Did you read the 7.14 patch?
That would be
Blade
quite
mail,
a brutal update.
Goes through your monitor.
Whoa. Dota 3, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, things will slow down for FlyToMoon. They want to wait for the BKB, most importantly on Iceberg. Other than that, most of their other heroes have the items that they've been wanting, or Blink as well as Shadowblade now on Silence. So yeah, just the BKB on SF, then they can take team fights, force a fight at Roche if they really want, start using their smokes. Silent is aggressively Shadowblading down bottom.
See if he can get this Silent. He's got the control and he's got the burst. Silent. Just a quick pick.
Nice when you get those solo kills. It's kind of risky to, while your team's farming, to go for solo kills at this stage, but gets away with it.
Putting some pressure onto this tier 2, but VGJ.Thunder will come down to defend.
This is a feels bad BKB for the gyro. When you've got to rush this on a gyro, the game is often not in a good place. When you're behind and rushing it too, you want to be getting a farming item, but he just feels like without it, he's going to melt, and an SF alone can solo kill him. The tiny combo. Things like Clockwork, ET Stomps, Earth Splitters, there's so much magic damage on FlyToMoon.
The game slowing down a little bit in pace though, so it's giving the chance for Freeze to catch up on his gyro. Silo, I should say, still very much not necessarily falling behind. It is just the fact that Iceberg is that step ahead consistently in this game. Non-Grata, he is going to walk into a bit of a nightmare. Walks into the entire lineup of VGJ.Thunder.
Yep, quick pick, get out. SF not in range to do anything about it. They had the ward there, so VGJ finding a kill thanks to a ward. And the big thing is they know it's safe to get that kill. If SF is there next to him with like a Yule's Requiem BKB combo, then you're going to get punished. But thanks to the vision, they see Clockwork is alone. They'll take any pick like that they can get. DDC. Again, it's DDC, he had the great cast at bottom, and now he's got the great wards. Top lane, whoa, he did BKB.
They've found Iceberg.
He's done goofed.
That is a big catch to find. This is this huge value SF going down.
He went in on Silo with the Yules and got greedy. He went for the Requiem without using BKB, and that's a big mistake because he got stunned. I also think it's a risky kill to go for anyways, because Silo could, if you don't time it perfectly, he could just self-Yules and then you miss your Requiem, potentially. So, the kind of mistakes that are very costly in a game like this. You can't be making that kind of a solo kill attempt and getting punished and failing in these kind of big games.
No, absolutely not, especially when you had quite the lead at the start, but that lead is slipping away.
Yep.
And it is just a 2k advantage that FlyToMoon have.
VGJ is happy to, if they get the room and space to farm and take those picks, they'll keep on farming. Gyro has a BKB, but it's not really let's go fight now BKB. It's I need this so we don't die to all these ganks. And if they feel like FlyToMoon are going to come force fights. They have this SF BKB, so they feel like they have to play defensively with their atomization. But if he can get it away and just keep farming, we're going to see Freeze do that. Same for Silo and his Lina.
We'll see if always want to fly wants to get something done here, as he does have Silent heading over as well.
Yep. Cane Rune means very short cooldowns on his nukes, but he's not going to go for anything.
A quick rocket as well, flying over from Non-Grata, seeing if anyone was in the trees, but indeed VGJ.Thunder have backed off.
Yeah, FlyToMoon kind of grouping up around this shrine. Looks like they might go for a smoke, but these 4 heroes have been missing on the map for a long time. I feel like this is a pretty low probability smoke as far as chances of working. They have got some deep vision. They may just get another deep ward out of it, which is okay in itself. I say that they don't actually have any wards on the heroes smoked up, so see if they can catch them by surprise. And they've got vision mid, so Freeze get out of
Let's
this?
see where they go. They go straight away on Jara, but Freeze gets the BKB out. Turns towards Iceberg. Iceberg pops his own BKB and starts to punch into Freeze. They've taken down DDC. Laguna this time onto the real clockwork from Sylar. Will manage to get the kill in return for VGJ.Thunder. Always want to fly, getting caught on the front. Silence there with the counterplay. They're fighting the two-man avalanche. The splitter comes out as well, and Silent jumps forward. Starts to clean up a second. Gets the Echo Saber slow onto Freeze, but the buybacks there from Fade. Turns, looks for the control on Silent. Has the X mark into the torrent, but they won't have the damage to follow up the kill. Iceberg continuing to chase Sylar here on the side, and he's got to always want to fly there with him as well. Sylar has to deny himself. So FlyToMoon able to get themselves back on top in these team fights.
Yep. Even a Kunkka buyback being thrown out. Bit surprised that they get caught there. They did have 4 heroes on VGJ.Thunder, so they were at least somewhat grouped up together, but FlyToMoon had been missing from the map for such a long time that it felt like that smoke was almost inevitably coming their way.
Silent, maybe. No, he's backing off. I wondered if he was going to see if he could try and get that solo pick onto Sylar.
He does a lot of single target damage now with the Echo Saber. He had a great kind of follow-up initiation there. He caught the Kunkka, which meant there was no ghost ship for that fight. The Coco's Realm could have perhaps made that fight a bit more manageable for VGJ.Thunder. Help keep heroes like Dragon Knight and Lina in better fighting shape. Ooh, I think ET kind of ran through them there and they do not catch him.
I got some good info for FlyToMoon, as they will know. Yeah. Pretty much the full lineup of VGJ.Thunder is just sat around that mid lane. And the map is safe for sort of Silent to keep himself separate down bottom.
Yep.
And it's got, I believe, the Crystal is queued up next, so continuing to sort of build up on that single target burst.
Yep. FlyToMoon kind of play these SF games a lot slower than I think other teams do because of the build Iceberg likes to go. It's really a build around your level 20 and 25 talents. Getting the Shadow Rays damage as well as the cooldown reduction, getting that Hex, Blink, like Lincolns we saw, Octarine Core if you don't need the Lincolns. This is the idea with FlyToMoon, is that they're going to win the late game based on level 20 and 25 talents. There's no rush for them. It's VGJ who want to go and take fights, actually. 5-man smoke.
So if they can get a catch, Iceberg would be the dream if they can close this gap. And Iceberg always just goes for the CP. And that is going to get punished. VGJ.Thunder immediately collapse on top of him.
Yep. Good quick smoke move, finding an SF of all heroes too. See what they get out of it. Smoke up from FlyToMoon. Are they going to go for this without the SF? Very risky call, but VGJ is split up.
They're not going to expect this VGJ.Thunder to start Silent straight and immediately deletes off Sylar. Can they get more out of this? They look towards Fade, tossing the tree forward, but now they've got to be a little careful. Yang's coming in for the Silent. Nongrad has actually hook shot it in to the midst of them all. They have the torrent control onto Yang. Yang getting bursted low. Echo Stomp down as well. Yang will fall. Silent gets the double kill. Nongrada loses his life. Now Silent is going to jump in. Look towards Freeze. Freeze has the BKB. Homing missile and rocket barrage en route to Silent as they surround the Tiny. Silent cannot get himself out of this one, as Silent will fall as well. VGJ.Thunder able to trade these kills.
Kind of punishing mistakes of FlyToMoon this game. I feel like the narrative has very much been FlyToMoon having a very clean, well-executed early game where they just managed to find kill after kill, gank after gank. SF was just looking like he was in this untouchable position where he was way ahead of everyone. Tiny was farming away. And then they kind of threw away some of that advantage by playing alone. They haven't really always gone as a team. The SF has been picked off now. They overextended a few times, and VGJ.Thunder are the ones who are just playing more as a unit.
I mean, yeah, look at Freeze's farm now. He's closing up to Iceberg's SF. He's getting a lot out of these fights now, able to really have the impact with that early BKB.
Yeah, that's the thing. He did this with a first time BKB. He could get a first time BKB and then he was allowed to just keep on farming. The BKB just being used to give him that kind of peace of mind. And Iceberg has kind of gone for kills here or there, but needs to not do it as a lone wolf. I think this is definitely one of the weaknesses of this SF Magic caster build, is that you don't group up and take objectives. The idea is you keep on farming, you keep getting levels, you keep getting items because you're at your best when you're level 25. The right-click build where you get like all the movement speed and stats like drums, SMY, BKB, butterfly, that's the build that takes towers, takes fights, and you don't care as much about getting those level 20, 25 talents.
Yeah, VGJ.Thunder really doing a fantastic job of taking back control of this game. A game that FlyToMoon were really rolling away with in the sort of the first 15 minutes, but the situation's certainly starting to change.
I think VGJ is showing their experience, and the reverse on the FlyToMoon side showing some of their inexperience. Yes, there are a lot of veteran players coming together, but this team has only come together earlier this year and hasn't really been playing many LAN events. This is their first LAN event with this roster, so showing some slip-ups from time to time. It's going to be perhaps another VGJ smoke once they push out some of these lanes. They've got one on DDC. They may want to keep taking these fights before the SF gets too scary.
Let's see if they can. They're at the moment not trying to head over by the looks of it, just sort of babysitting one another. Yang pushing out bottom. Sylar 2.6k gold towards the BKB.
These BKBs, when you're versing this SF with this build, you definitely want BKBs on all your cores, and they're going triple BKB. Yang's got his, and well, at least has the money for it. And it's just Sylar on the Lina, who's about 1,000 gold short. FlyToMoon are in the Roche pit though, and this looks like it'll be uncontested. Map control favoring them too much, and VGJ.Thunder are going to be smoking up, but it looks like smoking up too late.
They should have this, FlyToMoon.
They got out of the Roche pit. They got scared. They actually stopped hitting Roche.
Oh. I think they're back in. Yeah, they're going back in now that they see mid getting nuked out.
Yep. Iceberg's being left in there kind of alone. They're going all the way around here. They are just way too late to the pit here.
Can they still fight it? That's the question. They're waiting to see if they can get a catch.
I mean, if they fell back, they would have been able to.
They're going to try, but Silent, he's actually the first one in. Straight away, the hook shot's going to miss though from Non-Grata. Silent in, just gets turned upon. Iceberg pops the BKB, looks towards Silent, who's trapped up in the cogs. He's got the self-heals buying some time for him, but it's a 2 for 2 so far. Buyback from Always Wanna Fly, as he wants to keep the fight going for FlyToMoon.
That's good enough for VGJ. I feel they do lose the Lina, but killing off 2 and Rubik buyback, you're up against an Aegis on Shadow Fiend. You don't want to continue this fight. Not to mention Iceberg didn't even throw his Requiem there, so while his BKB may be on cooldown, he can still Yule's combo somebody if he does not get stunned. So, all in all, decent enough for VGJ, who maybe come out 800 gold and some change on top, but down an Aegis, which is something FlyToMoon are going to look to capitalize on in the next 5 minutes of this game. Very bold play from Silent. Not having a BKB and just blinking in to start the fight when the Aegis went to the SF. Perhaps not the best idea. You need to let like the clock or the ET kind of be the one to initiate. If he's... until he has a BKB at least.
And there is that butterfly finished for Freeze. Shadowblade as well for Sylar. They can have that sort of better chance of getting in and closing the gap.
Gets that instead of the BKB that was queued up. Perhaps wants to be... I mean, they do have the blink on Dragon Knight, but this kind of allows Lina to just be a bit of a pseudo-scouting hero from time to time. We haven't seen much dire detection this game either. It's Radiant Sentries littering the mini-map for the time being, and we'll see if this Shadowblade can be effective.
Yeah, I guess the problem would be, even with the BKB, it's you know, if this SF or Tiny get their hands on her, they are going to be able to bring it down in a few punches with the physical of Iceberg and the Crystallis on the Tiny, so it's all about just being as elusive as possible.
Yeah, need to be very elusive. You get caught by a Clockwork now, and also rely on your teammates, because you haven't got a 4-staff, you haven't got any way out. You've got no BKB, no 4-staff. Teammates do with the 4-staff on Kunkka, but that's, I think, just the only 4-staff they have. Witch Doctor has one queued up, but he's less than halfway there.
Top lane Yang. Able to find the opening here onto Non-Grata, the two of them sneaking in.
Yep, that's the beauty of the Shadowblade. You run ahead, you scout, your DK gets vision, he now gets the info he needs to blink in with his stun as well, and they find those kills. Pick and run. That is the best way to play Dota when you're up against the lineup with an Aegis who is stronger than yours because of it. So you can find pickoffs and split the map and avoid a team fight. You're in a great shape just to buy time and wait for that Aegis to expire. I feel like FlyToMoon are kind of overvaluing getting this SF, his 6-slotted level 25. They're not really capitalizing on their lead. They're not taking enough objectives, and the end result is that VGJ.Thunder is still really neck and neck as far as this game goes. Only a small 2,000 gold lead. And they're really putting all their eggs in the Iceberg basket. They're saying this SF has to win the late game for us. He's going to be level 25 with Lincolns, Hex, maybe even see that Octarine. He's going to be the big play to look out for. Silent himself, though, not too shabby as far as his farm.
No, not at all. He's still very close to freeze on the Jara.
Big changing game plan for Sylar. Says, I don't want a third BKB. We've got enough of those, and we get Boots of Travel now as well, which is another pick-off item.
Okay.
Just able to split push, find picks. An item that suggests he doesn't really want to... I mean, his team doesn't want a team fight. Otherwise, he would just buy the BKB. And they don't want to go too all in on these BKBs.
Bottom lane again, Fade. Just trying to D-push and TP out.
Annoying split push shenanigans happening. You take a creep wave, it means you're just that little bit less likely to get pushed in bottom. This Aegis getting closer and closer to expiring.
We'll see if Iceberg can find some sort of big play with that Hex.
Yeah.
She's holding in his backpack for the moment.
Waiting for the Aegis to expire. I think they're just saying, yeah, you know, this Aegis is gone. Only has 30 seconds left anyways. He'll have that Hex coming out. As far as the Radiant team goes, no Lincolns or anything to counter that Hex. Yours can be brought down very quickly in that.
I've got the Halberd picked up by Yang. Which, I mean, I guess it helps against the Tiny, but both of these cores, you know, Tiny and SF, still do, they don't have to rely on the right click.
No, not entirely. I mean, Tiny is kind of capped as far as how much damage his combo can do, so does want to...
Sure.
He's building very heavy into the right click, knowing that his SF is not doing right click. Halberd, I know one of those items that Winter believes kind of on the board, just gives great stats as well, like plus 20 strength is quite a lot. Evasion, but to some as well. On top of that, this smoke, I believe, scouted out and countered by FlyToMoon.
The cogs are down. On Grada keeps the distance.
Yep. They played that very well, and now FlyToMoon may want to turn this one around.
They're thinking about it.
Tiny's found lead on the backlines too.
And Iceberg in the midst of it, promotes the BKB. The hook shot catches onto nobody though. They have the Earthsplitter coming through, catch the two of them, but the BKBs are still there for VGJ.Thunder. Good to go. They'll look towards Nongrada. Tries to force himself away, but Yang jumps forward with the blink and stun. They'll find a second. Can they find anything else here? They're looking towards Iceberg. Silent's going to jump in, but he gets disarmed. The sentry down, and again the Dragon Tail. Yang controlling up Silent. Silent, he'll fall. VGJ.Thunder find themselves a third. They will lose Fade. Couldn't quite kill off Iceberg. Iceberg does survive.
Shining up, they could keep fighting. I don't think FlyToMoon really want to chase for too much more. A Blink Hex is nice and all, but this Gyro is just a monster right now. He did 6.7k damage in that fight. Everyone else on his team, you know, they did a little smidgen bit of damage. Lina did 0. Lina got chased down by a Tiny on the back lines, which was a bit unfortunate for Sylar. Tiny committed his BKB for it, which was the important thing. So when he went back into the main fight, there was no BKB. He was very easy pickings for the Gyrocopter, the Kunkka, and the Dragon Knight. So a very split up fight, but ultimately does go slightly the way of VGJ.Thunder. Gyrocopter proving that he is the hero to worry about, not this Lina. Tiny kind of committing everything there, and having these BKBs against the SF means that this super spellcaster build doesn't really guarantee that you get those kills at the start of the fight.
Still panning out to be a very close game now between both sides. Freeze is being eyed up. They jump forward. They've got the Hex. They've got the Razors, and Freeze is dead. That's 90 seconds without the Gyrocopter. An end to his godlike 10 kill streak. A lot of money for Iceberg. That is a big loss for VGJ.Thunder.
He's got no buyback too. That is a massive loss, and
we'll see if they push anything out of this.
Yeah, they don't know about that buyback. They may have seen the Reaver in his backpack. Maybe it was even put on the courier, so maybe they don't know. But if anything, even if you don't know, you may be just saying, let's try and force it. And when they see no buyback coming out, they may just keep on trying to pressure things. But part of the problem with their lineup is it isn't the best high ground pushing lineup. The SF with this caster build is not really designed to hit buildings all too well. He's actually looking for more pickoffs. He's just blinking around and seeing what he can find. Very good adaptation there from Iceberg. He kind of learned that, you know, can't go for like a Hex Requiem. The Hex Triple Raise is the best way to burst a Gyrocopter. That's exactly what we saw there with all that spell damage coming out. The Elder Titan able to amp it up as well with the Spirit. It's just insane how much damage output he can offer.
He's gone in. Iceberg to the base, looking for the Hex play, but the 4-star 4, they'd be there. Saves Yang. And Iceberg, he is sitting on nearly 6k gold, so he can go grab that Octarine if he does want to, which has been the item for his build.
I would say his triple raise combo does like some 1500-ish damage if they have the spirit on them. He's even got the spell on, but it does even more than that. It's probably even close to like 1800 to 2000 damage with a triple raise under the Astral Spirit. I'd love to know the maths on that later, but that Gyrocopter does not have enough health. He's put the Reaver in now.
Oh, and again, look what they've found. They're getting these hook shots from Non-Grata. They've sort of been, you know, zoning hook shots as Yang will still be in trouble. Gets surrounded, he pops the BKB. He's trying to fight back, but he's going to go down. They'll lose Yang. DDC gets jumped upon by Silent. He'll turn with the paralyzing cast, homing missile as well, holding Silent back with 2-man torrent and a Laguna Blade from Sylar, but Sylar gets Hex. The raises, Sylar to fall. He's dead for 75 seconds, bites back, freeze with the BKB, moving in. They're trying with the flak to bring down FlyToMoon, but
back.
They're still alive. Iceberg with that BKB and being healed up by the Spirit Vessel. They'll be fine, FlyToMoon.
Silent makes a insane save onto the Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend was dead, and he tosses him out back to a teammate. Silent, the carry, also the 5-position support, saving his buddy. Doing what you'd not expect out of a Tiny in a game like this, and Iceberg able to make all the flashy moves there. Those raises just tearing apart VGJ.
And they're into the bit FlyToMoon.
Yep.
And this time, it will be a very quick and easy one.
Yeah, VGJ, no signs of movement towards the pit. Aegis in Silent's hands, says Shadow Fiend, you know, you haven't got the room for this one.
And of course, there is that time of the game where the Rapier has been queued up by Freeze. He's got the Satanic. It really is all on this Gyrocopter to carry VGJ.Thunder at the moment, as we're seeing Starlight on this Lina at this stage of the game. It's very hard to really stand in his position and get the job done. Can they bring this man down? They can. They've got Iceberg. Can they get more? They're looking towards Non-Grata. The paralyzing cast bouncing across. Freeze with the chase down. Homing missile does connect. You pop the cheese Non-Grata, but it's not going to be enough to save him. The X-Mark drags him back in. Sylar picks up the double.
Ooh, Iceberg. This is, to me, always been one of his biggest downfalls as a player. Fantastic mechanical skilled player, but sometimes the decision-making lets him down. And that position at the front lines, you can see why he has the halberd now. It not only gives him good stats evasion and a disarm, which is okay, it breaks Lincolns. Breaking the Lincolns and the insta-stun gets them the SF kill.
And down bottom, chasing down No Fear, fades there from the side with the catch. That'll be another for VGJ.Thunder.
He's got DD rune, he can push very fast. They can force some buybacks here, do some big serious damage. They actually saw Silent, it looks like they're picking him out. Okay, almost going for him there.
I mean, Sylar is chasing, but tower here, he can't quite cross over to get Silent.
Instead. Glyph is ready for the Dire team. As we'll see an X-back, Kunkka just wants some more mana. He didn't have mana for a Ghost Ship here. He gets a Clarity, will force the first buyback. SF does not want to use his, that's for sure.
No, absolutely not.
I think they may have to back off here. I don't know if committing for this is a good idea.
He's trying for the quick pick off onto DDC, but DDC able to force himself to the side until the tree is there. Silent gets the kill, but now Sylar, he's turning onto him, and Silent, he's taking a lot of damage here from Silent Freeze. He's trying to get up to the high ground. Is he going to be able to get himself away? He's not. That's the Aegis popped.
Okay, it's got to respawn at least, and with the SF coming back, that's enough to buy time.
Non-Grata, let's see, is he going to hit the hook shot this time? He doesn't need to for now. He's got the cogs. They do have the Hex.
They'll lose one for it as well as a gem, so pretty big losing a gem with how important Vision is at this stage of the game, but I like what Silent does there. Just throws away his Aegis to make sure they buy time for the SF to respawn and also don't have to use his buyback there. It was really just Silent committing in like a 1v3, 1v4 scenario.
Oh, he's got the illusion. He's got it.
We've seen these illusions not having a good time.
It really has been the game, yeah. not a game for all the illusion fanboys and fangirls out there. They've been taking quite a beating from both sides. Many an Ultimate have been expended for an illusion's life. I mean, Non-Grata just feels good. You know, he hit that.
It's warm up.
He's had a few off the mark once.
So yeah, Leon's gone back for BKB. I think recognizing, you still need this item, otherwise you can just melt. These stuns, these stomps, all these razors going around, you've got to get BKB off if you want to try and fight.
Oh, this really is one of those games where it's very hard to sort of feel which way it's going to go. I mean, FlyToMoon technically have the advantage, but we are seeing that they're a little susceptible to making these plays that sort of make you go, I think VGJ.Thunder is going to be able to walk away with this. It's like, there's a few too many mistakes coming out from FlyToMoon, even though that they have the lead.
Absolutely. And this kind of 4,000 gold lead, I mean, you look at SF, he's had 8,000 gold. He just put a moonshot. He's giving it to Tiny. Wow, what a bro.
What a lovely map.
So, yeah, it's not really like a true 4,000 gold lead. A lot of money stocked up in Iceberg where he can't really use all of this net worth.
He's given Silent that top spot in the net worth now with that moonshot.
Yep. So we'll see how things kind of go from here. It all comes down to like how the BKBs can be used, whether or not you get it off. If DK stuns SF before he can BKB, as we saw in the mid lane, that's a quick kill. Same thing for the Radiant side. If SF can hex them before they BKB and get those triple raises off, we saw that on the Gyrocopter, that's a quick kill and that's a teamfight loss. You need to have buybacks here too if you're a core hero.
Here we go.
That's a highlight.
They've got the high ground, VGJ, and then they've got the sentry down as well, straight away looking to jump in, but there's the backup. Non-Grata comes in with a hook jumper, Freeze, pops the BKB, hooks the wall, Silent, but they've lost Yang. The burst is there, the DK down for 100 seconds. Can they get more out of this? Silent with the toss onto Freeze. He can't quite finish off the gyro. The Voodoo Restoration's there from DDC as Freeze turns, chases down Silent. Silent gets himself out with the silver edge though. He's going to be able to keep himself alive, and Iceberg picks up a second kill onto Fade on the side. Freeze continues to chase. He's found Always Want to Fly. No Fear in Iceberg. They're trying to back off, but the cooldown's there on top of No Fear as well as the Dragon Slave and Sylar. 2 dead at the moment on FlyToMoon, and the wraparound from Freeze is going to be able to find themselves a third. Homing Missile and Rocket Barrage to finish off Non-Grata. Iceberg and Silent, the only 2 survivors there, that fight for FlyToMoon.
Yeah.
As Thunder, they only lost 2. Buyback, of course, from Fade.
Yeah, that time was Thunder using the buybacks, but just a Kunkka and a well-won team fight for them. Unfortunately, the core hero is the big one. Silent not going down with that last-second silver edge away. SF gets away on pretty low health as well. He didn't have a BKB, so if he does get caught, he dies very quickly there with the BKB on cooldown. And this game will go on. No buyback on Elder Titan. His is still on cooldown from that last fight. Also, nowhere near the money for it. The push goes back the other way, and this Gyrocopter is proving to be more and more difficult to deal with.
It really is. Freeze is just playing these fights absolutely perfectly. They'll try for the Hex play, but he had the X-Mark on him. He gets dragged out, and that was Iceberg popping a BKB for that one as well.
Yep, does have a very short cooldown, but it's still 35 seconds or so. They're not going to go for another push.
Oh, there's a DD rune top. We'll see if VGJ.Thunder catch drift of this. As they've got the ward down. Yeah, they see it.
What can they do with this?
They can at least try and take that tier 2 top if they want to. It looks like they're a little scared of the full 5-man coming back up from FlyToMoon.
They need Dragon Knight. He's their key initiator who can get the insta-stun off. Like, Kunkka can't really initiate into BKBs too well, at least not on the core heroes, whereas Dragon Knight, if he gets the insta-stun, can do a lot. That's how they've killed the SF a few times. Iceberg, I think, is getting very trigger-happy on his BKB. He's popping it the second he spells danger, which I don't mind, because that's how he dies.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like if his Linken's gets broken, he doesn't BKB and gets stunned, it's like he dies. So he's going to be popping his BKB very, very early on in these fights, and that's something VGJ may just start adapting to as well and saying, look, let's try force to get a BKB.
Coming down the mid lane, he's got the catch onto No Fear. No Fear will be able to force himself to the side, but still they'll chase on when he gets forced up to the high ground. The save's there from Non-Grata, keeping the Elder Titan safe.
Splitter used, which is a long cooldown since he's not level 25 yet, but not a big enough cooldown to go for any kind of a push. Dragon Knight, his ulti also being thrown out.
And this is turning into one of those games as well where, you know, I know Freeze did have that rapier queued up, but I don't know if he's actually going to need it because it's so close at the moment. Non-Grata does try to set up for something, but Yang pops the BKB, turns with a boat coming in as well, straight onto the top of Non-Grata. Can they finish this off? 3-man stomp come true, but it's not enough to save the clock. Clock will fall. Silent trying for the damage on the Freeze, but Freeze with the Satanic healing up, turns, takes down Silent. They've lost 2 more here on FlyToMoon. Iceberg is trying to finish up these kills. He's looking for a Freeze, but he can't quite do it. Sylar's there with the Light Strike Array. They take Iceberg down as well. 3 dead on FlyToMoon. They do not have buyback on Always Want to Fly or Silent.
Ooh, Silent buying out there, meaning his buyback's not up. SFB buyback is going to have to be expended here to defend this one. And I don't think VGJ are going to retreat anyways.
Pushing in the fortification out of FlyToMoon, but indeed they have no intention of backing away from at least these middle melee racks.
Yep.
As they'll push onwards.
That flak damage just getting No Fear down to half health. They'll take a melee racks and back off. They do have to defend bottom as well as maybe eye off some shrines. Lose a tier 3 tower here, but they don't want to TP back and defend. If someone TPs and you get split up, that can be catastrophic. So they wait until they're well and truly out of there and safe to TP, not risking any kind of a clockwork hookshot initiation. Losing a tier 3 tower, not the end of the world at this stage of the game. Losing melee racks, not the end of the world here. If you're in FlyToMoon's position, you're thinking, you know, 48 minutes in, 1 melee racks, that's nothing. Let's just hold our buybacks, you know, get Tiny to farm up his buyback and make some better decisions and initiations in these upcoming fights.
It's only going to get harder and harder there. We'll see if Freeze does invest in the Rapier. He's got a decent chunk of money now.
I don't know if he has to. He's got buyback money.
That's the thing. It doesn't feel like, because he's doing so much as it is on this Gyro in these fights, it doesn't really feel like he needs to take that risky play.
They know they're upper racks. I don't think they feel like they're behind. That was very much 10, 15 minutes ago. They did feel like they were behind. They were up against a lineup with Aegis and Cheese. They had lost all map control. Now they've got map control. They've got a gem. They have buybacks. They have a melee racks advantage. They do not feel like they need to buy a Rapier. If he buys a Rapier, he'll maybe do it with buyback. But even then, I don't think it's worth going all in on that. Going Rapier with no buyback just sounds insane. Is he? Oh, he's doing. Oh, I don't know about this.
He's done it.
It sounds insane. I'd say it's insane, but they're going all in. This is crazy. You're upper racks and you're going all in. I mean, they're ahead by 6k gold. The balls on this man freezes. Whew.
It's not, because it's not often you see a Rapier picked up when it is a team, as you say, with a net worth advantage and upper set of racks. The last time I saw it done, it was back at DAC when TNC did it, and it didn't work out for them. They had the advantage, they had the lead, but they went for this high-risk play. Not to say that it can't work, because it absolutely can.
Yes.
You know, you could wipe this fight, and it's an easy end to the game.
They see non-grata, not the ideal initiation target, but
they're going to try. Straight in, looking for him. The force is there to create the space. Yang's going to put the BKB, but look at the sidelines. Iceberg actually jumps straight in, but now the focus is there from Freeze. Freeze moving forward. He is going to be able to get the chance to get the damage done as Iceberg falls incredibly low. Gets safe for a little bit, but still falls. They've managed to take down Iceberg. He's down for 2 minutes without buyback, and VGJ.Thunder, they're looking for more. Freeze stepping forward. The blade mail causing him to hurt himself quite some bit, though, on non-grata, but he'll wait it out. Turn back in. Silent is looking for Freeze. Can he find the kill? He can't. The Glimmer play is there. They'll keep him safe. Silent does bring down DDC, but FlyToMoon, they've lost three without buyback. Silent is going to get surrounded as Freeze comes back in for the glory. Sylar's there as well, bursting down No Fear. There'll be a buyback from Silent, a buyback from No Fear. But the Freeze Rapier, it worked out this time, being able to quickly kill off Iceberg at the start of the fight.
The surprise factor. SF thinks, oh, I can just BKB and they can't kill me, but a Rapier suddenly thrown in the mix meant he just melted in his BKB. He just ran at the gyrocopter thinking, oh, you know, this gyro doesn't hit too hard, but man, did he melt in that fight.
He's Silent and No Fear trying for Yang, but in comes Freeze, ready to go again with this Rapier, cutting through them all, cutting through the Ancient, looking to end the game. Silent's trying his best to stop it, but he cannot do so. GG is called as VGJ.Thunder take game 1 here against FlyToMoon. The Rapier purchase, it absolutely paid off there. It allowed them to close the game. Definitely a game where they could have probably won it eventually without the Rapier purchase, but Freeze said he was done with this one. He wanted to move over to game 2, and he ends it within a minute of picking up the item.
Breaking the stereotype of, you know, like, oh, you know, the safe Chinese Dota. No, he's like, this is a new era of Chinese Dota. Like VGJ say, we can take a risk, we'll buy a Rapier. RTK has this face where he's like, I don't know about the Rapier. But it worked out. Fantastic. If that smoke doesn't find them and then the Rapier gets scouted at that point, you know, this SF can then play around the fact that he knows this Rapier's on the playing field. He can make sure that he doesn't get near the gyro, or if he does, he's hexing him up. But great ballsy call, and it does pay off.
It really does. It shuts the game down within a matter of a minute, and I think, well, we'll see what FlyToMoon do in the second game, but it's the third game where we've seen Iceberg come in with this Shadow Fiend, this spellcasting build, where he always manages to have a great time himself in terms of the farm. You know, Iceberg was leading the net worth the entire game, but as we've seen it really is very volatile, this build. Regardless of how much farm you have on this hero, it can still just die within a blink of an eye in the team fights.
I'm not a fan. That's me personally. It's worked one game today. I think it can work, but I think it's just way too slow paced with how much farm you need, how many levels you need. I think it's just way too slow pace. It gave VGJ so much room to get back in this game. Freeze on his gyrocopter, what a performance from him.
He absolutely solid.
Yeah, it kept him in the game throughout the entire mid game. He won them in the game in the late game. Everything about his gyro performance was just fantastic.
Well, there we have it. And yeah, overall, the swap around worked. The Sylar Lina and the Freeze Gyro, the versatility being shown here by VGJ.Thunder. So that is it for game 1 at this best of 3 as VGJ.Thunder take the lead. As we'll have to wait and see if Iceberg wants to try and do the SF Spellcaster again. It did go down a game earlier in the series before and then managed to win one. It might happen again. But for now, we'll pass you back to the panel.
First game going the way of VGJ.Thunder here at the StarLadder ImbaTV Invitational. Here with Lacoste and Nahaz. Nahaz, before the game started, you already said your eyes were on Freeze to see if he performed well. I think you got your answer. He did pretty good.
He absolutely delivered. Sylar, however, did not. And I am not a fan of the role swap. I think Sylar had played Lina competitively once in the last 3 years. You put him in a position where if he misses that Light Strike array on that mid lane with the Elder Titan and the Shadow Fiend, he dies. And yeah, I mean, Freeze has 3 Lina wins just in the last month over LGD and twice over Keen Gaming. It's a difficult position to put your veteran player Sylar in. It worked out. On the other side, though, the SF caster build, I'm not quite as negative as Gods is, but you definitely have no margin for error. Like you saw in Game 2 of the previous series with the Nisha Death Prophet, every mistake you make puts the enemy cores that much closer to BKBs and just nullifies so much your build.
What did you think of the game, Lacoste?
Well, the game started really well for FlyToMoon. Their warding was pretty much correctly. Always FlyToMoon. They warded pretty much everything. And he always places a sentry and an observer ward, so he denies a lot of vision from VGJ. They had early based lineup, which gives a lot of aggression. Shadowfiend with that build, Blink into Yules for the pickup, Tiny with the Shadow Blade as well. That was a lot of kills, so their net worth was pretty much high, and you can't afford to make those mistakes. Shadowfiend dies twice, Tiny dies once, and that's 3,000 gold in the pockets of VGJ.Thunder.
Yep.
What could they have done early? What did they do so well early game? Let's start with that. What did they do well early game to get ahead as far as they did? Because they did get ahead.
Yep, they placed the lanes well, and also you have Shadowfiend and Clockwork, so Shadowfiend is gonna have good early game, good rotation from Elder Titan focusing on the mid. I have to say I did not like the build on Lina. With like she was playing from behind, and she decides to go for Ring of Aquila, which is kind of an item that you want to have early on just to spam out, just for some stats. After that, he decides to go for full... I always forget the name of that item. Bloodstone, yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Bloodstone. It's just, it feels like it's an empty network. It doesn't provide you anything in team fights, and she was pretty vulnerable to magic damage. So maybe a good item would be either Force Staff, just to remove herself or teammates from the cogs, or just go for a BKB.
And you can see here, it looks like FlyToMoon, their net worth lead is not all that big, but they are in control of the game. And just a couple of mistakes from your SF sends the game so rapidly in the other direction. Yeah. I don't know. This was not... It was a win by VGJ, and you can argue that a team that's struggling, you'll take them how you can get them, but it was not convincing. This was not, I think, the best Dota that either of these two teams capable of.
Yeah. Non-Grata missed like 3 hook shots in the fights that mattered, and I think if he got those, they could have won the game. That's just my thought. Then he bought back and doesn't have a hook and goes back to, so he just wastes a lot of gold on pretty much nothing. But these fights are lasting long. FlyToMoon actually shows that they have a good concept of when to go in and out of the fights.
Silent had a great game on his Tiny.
He did. Yes. And he's again, just tends to be one of these carries that gets overlooked in terms of the flashier mid player, but he makes great itemization decisions, approaches these fights really well. I also really like the play of DDC in this game. He had the first 2 kills, including the first blood, in an early game that looked like it was going to go really strongly against his team, helped to stabilize things a bit. I mean, there's a reason that he's one of only 3 players in history that's played at every TI alongside Puppy and Kuro.
And did well as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, you mentioned the good build on Tiny. Also, Shadowfin gave him that moon shard, so he was the ultimate carry. But Tiny does not scale that well. If this game lasted for another, let's say, 10, 15, 20 minutes, their heroes don't scale that good, especially with the build that they went. Shadowfin can't get any bigger than that. That's why he bought the moon shard for a Tiny. But I love the build on Silent with the Silver Edge, the break, the Dragon Knight. He went full in on damage because Iceberg went for a spellcaster build.
Yeah, Freeze on top with the kill statistics there. No surprise, and most damage done as well. I mean, with the Gyrocopter, with the Rapier and Flak Cannon.
Excuse him, but he really did. Look, he played a fantastic game, but he was the one that was put in the most favorable position by his team.
This was the problem. Siege damage statistics. If you look at it, it's Freeze, Sylar, and you have a Yang who dealt around 10,000 damage, and you have a Silent and Iceberg like 4,000 together, because the heroes don't allow them to deal damage. They can't go for objectives, they need to take a fight, they need to get a pick off, but VGJ.Thunder played really well. They got the gem, a lot of sentries placed, which gave them an advantage to come back into the game.
Yeah, it's both a weakness of the caster build on SF overall that you lack tower punch, and it makes those mistakes by Iceberg all the more galling when you look at the places on the map that he dies. When he's dying behind the Radiant top tier 1 tower, that's not a position where even if he gets that kill, they're probably not going to be able to take the objective afterward. Yeah,
Tiny is a damage, tower damage, but he's not that frontliner that you're gonna place in front and let them just hit the tower. There's an X-Mark, there's Maledict, it's really hard to play, so they need to get a pick off. That's the problem with the lineup that they had.
Overall, it was a close game. Would you say that the FlyToMoon, it was a drafting, or was it actually the decision making of the items and maybe not taking advantage of their position enough?
I would say the clockwork, if he didn't miss those hook shots, the outcome could have been different. And I mean, it worked for them. The game against the Kingwin, the spellcaster build on Shadowfin, it works, but not every single time.
Yeah, I think, you know, Iceberg, if you look throughout his career, he has been very, very good on a wide range of mid-heroes. He's not a one-trick pony, and I'm not sure why they've become that fixated on that particular SF clock, caster SF build today. It's 1 and 2 today. Would like to see them go towards something different.
I think God said it perfectly. He is the flashy player, highly mechanically skilled. You can see him using Hex. He doesn't miss ulti, triple raises pretty much every time he hits, but his decision making sometimes is not on point.
Well, he's got another game to prove his worth here, at least one, perhaps another one after that if they can force out a tie. But before we are heading into the second game, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.